Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live as we kick off ahead of the big World Cup that is set to take over the UK. The big final or broadcasting time here will be around 8, but in the UK it kicks off at about 7:15. Ayanda Ali Payne has been doing the job for us outside the SABC, just kind of showing the fever, the music and all of that. And as we gear up for Black Friday every week for the next 12 weeks, let's cross to Ayanda Ali Payne, who hasn't done the Nene or the Superman or the whip. Ayanda, how you doing?
People, can you feel the vibe as we begin to rise?
A very good morning to you, Sam. Just wait, when I've been practicing, come 8:30, I'll be doing it for you, the nene and everything else. But that is, of course, as we build up to the much anticipated opening match that takes place today, 2015 Rugby World Cup. England will be taking on Fiji at Twickenham, what's known as the holy ground when it comes to rugby. England may have the home ground advantage, but Fiji is not to be underestimated. On a good day, they've been known to cause quite an upset. But let's get more analysis now. I'm joined by a rugby analyst from RWC. It is Jody Hendricks. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me.
I'm trying, you see. I even wanted to pronounce it absolutely perfectly. Let's talk a little bit more about the opening match today. Are we expecting an upset, or is England going to have their A game on?
I think England's going to have their A game on. Being the host nation, they probably want to start with a good start, but Fiji, like you said, should not be underestimated. England, obviously, a few world-class players in their team. Fijians, a lot of them play their rugby in the Super Rugby tournament, and also a few in overseas. But I think the occasion might just be too big for them in front of a packed Twickenham, 80,000 people. You know, I think England should be the favourites tonight.
Let's talk about some of the other matches that are coming up in the early stages here. We see France also coming to the fore against Italy. France haven't made it to the final 3 times, so close, but no cigar for them. Do you think they'll have a point to prove and a score to settle this time around?
France, one of those unpredictable teams at any World Cup on any given day. You don't know which team is going to pitch up, so they could be the best team in the world, or they could lose to like a Tonga like they did in 2011. But I think France, the two Six Nations teams, a good game we can expect, but I think France should be too strong for Italy.
Let's talk about Tonga now. They're also coming up against Georgia, I believe it is. Something that raised my eyebrow, at least. I didn't even know that they were big on rugby. But let's talk a little bit about their team and how they're looking going into the World Cup.
Yeah, Tonga, a very physical team. 2 of the smaller nations, Georgia and Tonga. I think they'll each of them have opportunity to win the game today. So I think Tonga should be the favourite, but Georgia should not be underestimated as well.
Canada up against Ireland. You told me Ireland is a very good team, because I'm trying to be impressive here and say something intelligent about rugby. I'm one of those people who are only coming to the fore just because of the Rugby World Cup. I'm super excited, but I know very little. So educate me when it comes to Ireland and Canada.
Well, just to put it in perspective, they are the current Six Nations champions, so they are one of the favourites at this World Cup. A few world-class players. I think their captain Brian O'Connell, the lock, he's going to be an important player for them at this World Cup. And I also think Sexton, the number 10, he's going to have to dictate play tonight.
Okay, now that you've given me a little bit of context, perhaps we can move to the next stages and talk a little bit about Australia. I believe that they have a new captain and they've been doing fairly well. Are they likely to continue with that?
They've struggled the last couple of years. They were nowhere in the Rugby Championship, and also they had 3 coaches in the last 2 years, and then all of a sudden their new coach, Michael Checker, came out of nowhere and they won the Rugby Championship this year. So I think they should not be underestimated. Also a few world-class players. Matt Guito's back after long playing in France for a while, and he's going to be a big player for them at this World Cup with all his experience.
I spoke to Thando Manana, a former Bokke player as well as a Bulls and the Griquas player, and we spoke at length about the role of Bafana in this particular tournament. But I want to get some analysis from you now with regard to that. Who are our biggest competition?
Well, I think in the group stages, South Africa should be the favourites to win our group. I think they're going to have to battle it out, and I think a team like Samoa, Scotland and the USA all have an opportunity to end second. So I think our big opposition is probably going to be Australia. It depends if we get them in the quarterfinal. That's going to be a tough game. New Zealand, obviously, France, and don't throw away England as the host nation.
the build-up to the World Cup for the Boks has been, shall we say, a little bit contentious. There have been a lot of issues on transformation, a lot of issues and discussions now even about the selection and whether they're experienced or just old. Do you think that the Boks are prepared psychologically, their psyche, their mentality going into the Rugby World Cup? Is it where it needs to be?
Well, first of all, if you look at 2015, results also haven't gone their way, and I think that was a worrying factor. But I think they had a couple of weeks off now. I think they played too much rugby during the Super Rugby international games. They've had a few weeks off now. The players had a chance to recover from the injuries, to get into the zone for the World Cup. They had the day off yesterday. I saw some of the players went to play golf. So, to get their mind away from rugby, and starting today with the captain's run, they can start focusing on Japan tomorrow, who I think is not going to be an easy game. They've got an experienced coach in Eddie Jones, and some of their players also play in Europe, and Japan's investing a lot in rugby. But I think with all the factors said and done, I think South Africa is still going to be the favourite tomorrow.
Back to today, and as briefly as possible, Thando left me hanging when I asked him about a prediction. I'm going to put you on the spot and see whether or not you can come close to predicting the scoreline.
I'm going to say England by 20.
All right, we'll leave it there at least for now. I don't know. I'm not a betting woman. Otherwise, I put money where you've just mentioned now, because you do seem like you know a lot about the sport. We'll have to leave it there at least for now. Sam, you did ask for us to do the nay-nay. We'll do that in our next crossing at around about 8:30. Do stay with us.